What's good? Here's Russell King there, and today I'm going to be discussing the recent episode of Smackdown. Going to get straight into it. Starts off with Nick Aldis and Cody Rhodes. They're in the ring. Nick Aldis is congratulating Cody, congratulating him for picking up the victory at Backlash, mentioning how Cody wants to be a fighting champion. And he talked about, the king and queen of the ring pay-per-view that's coming up, and mentions how he finally found an opponent for him to face. Then he ends up, alluding to his opponent. The opponent theme music hit, and it's Logan Paul of all people. Logan Paul. Then it's Logan Paul and Cody Rhodes in the ring. It starts off with Logan Paul, being cocky, arrogant, starts mentioning, the match that he's gonna have, and the match is gonna be a champion versus champion match. Which, oh man, I'm gonna get into that after this promo segment. Gonna be a champion versus champion match at the King of the Ring, the King and Queen of the Ring pay per view. Then Cody Rhodes is about to give praise and about to mention the match, but Logan Paul ends up interrupting him. He ends up saying that he ends up telling Cody that facts don't care about your feelings, neither do I. I got some facts for you. I am the longest reigning champion in the WWE, which is true. I'm I am the greatest attraction in this company and had the greatest rookie year of all time. And then he ends up saying he's a superstar. He ended up talking to the fan because the fan had a poster saying that it was his birthday. Logan ends up saying that he ends up talking to the fan, ends up saying that congratulations, you met a superstar today. I thought that was some good heel work he did there. But then he starts mentioning Cody's wins at the Royal Rumble and at WrestleMania 40, but he ended up saying that no one remembers what you did. He said people are talking about what I did in those events. Mentions how people are talking about Ricochet and him doing a crazy spot instead of him winning the Rumble. He talked about how instead of people talking about your story winning at Mania, people are talking about what happened in my match with I Show Speed and all of that. Then he mentions how they debuted on the same show at WrestleMania 38, which is crazy to think because I didn't know they debuted at the same show, but apparently they did. Debuted on the same night, but he says that ever since that night, I have been the Rocky feud of WWE, and he ends up saying that how can you finish your story when it's not your stories to begin with? Then Cody Rhodes responds, and Cody Rhodes ends up saying that I bet a lot of people stand across from you and assume what a dumbass, which I thought was hilarious. Then he ends up saying that as fun as that would be, I'm not going to call you an influencer, a YouTuber, or an outsider because you are accomplished and you are great in the ring, etc. He's giving praise, mentions his fight with Floyd, mentions how quick he became U.S. champion. But then he ends up saying that since we are speaking of facts, the fact is if I was to win the United States Championship, that makes me a WWE Grand Slam champion. Then Logan Paul was about to say something else, but Cody Rhodes ends up stopping him. He ends up putting his hand on his arm, stopping Cody from talking. Cody ends up saying that I'm not done yet. And he ends up saying that in addition to all the positive things I said about you, you're also disrespectful, self-centered, and delusional. And you cannot go a single match without grabbing the brass knuckles, which is true. Then he ends up saying that you are taking credit for something that doesn't belong to you or me, and this is a team. And at the King and Queen of the Ring, you are going to find out where you stand on that team, and that's the end of the promo there. Now, I don't know how long of a rant I'm gonna go on, but this is stupid. This is so stupid. This is retarded. This is ridiculous. Why? Like, the match itself will be good. I know it'll be a banger. But why are we putting Cody Rhodes in a position to be a double champion? He doesn't need the U.S. title. Logan Paul doesn't even need this. This doesn't even make sense from this is stupid. This is streaming. I have no direction for Cody. Look, I get it. The direction for Cody later on is for him to possibly have another match with The Rock, maybe potentially feud with Randy around SummerSlam or whatever. I get that, but you couldn't come up with anything else for Cody to do until that time. Like, if I was them, I would have just ran it back with AJ Styles, you could have just did what you did with Brock Lesnar. That's all you had to do. All you had to do was just did what you did with Brock Lesnar last year. Have them have 3 matches on 3 pay-per-views. That's all you had to do. All you had to do was do that. You could have had AJ have a rematch at well, it is a little different because Cody wasn't a champion at that time, so it was a little different. But you could have had a situation where maybe it ends in a disqualification of some sort, but Cody retains, and then AJ fights him again because there was a no disqualification. You could have done something. Why do we do not need another double champion? We don't. We just, and I love Roman Reigns. I do. I love Roman Reigns, but I love Roman Reigns, and I didn't mind him being a double champion for the most part, but that was because he had the Bloodline storyline. Cody does not have an interesting enough story to have him be double champion. It just doesn't make sense. And then you're making Cody win a mid-card title on that, because the mid-card division on SmackDown already isn't that strong. So you're already going to make Cody the main event talent and the mid-card talent? That doesn't make sense, because no one's beating Cody. No one on the SmackDown roster is beating Cody outside of Randy Orton. And even then, I don't think Randy's winning, because Randy would have to turn heel, and I don't think a heel Randy Orton would still win, because I think if Randy and Cody have a feud, you got to have Cody win that feud. So it just doesn't make sense from a narrative perspective to put the title on Cody. I just don't understand this. Like, I really think they could have just went in another direction. Now, the only thing I could think of is that there are not many heels on SmackDown, because I don't even know the SmackDown roster after the draft, to be honest with you. Because the only heels I know that are on SmackDown are Santos Escobar and AJ Styles. That's really it. And Santos is not a main event caliber, guy, so it doesn't make sense. This would have been a perfect time to have a heel Bobby Lashley, because not even a year ago, like a few months ago, Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits was heel, but they turned him back babyface. This would have been a perfect time to have a heel Bobby Lashley. Now, this would have been perfect. This would have been a perfect time to have a heel Bobby Lashley. Could have had a heel Bobby Lashley, a believable threat to face Cody Rhodes. But now, since there's no heels on SmackDown, it's like, yeah, this is just stupid. I don't understand this. I don't get the idea. This is stupid. But the match is confirmed, so we're stuck. Now, I am the type of person that typically likes to see how things play out, but this is stupid. Like, this is dumb. I don't see how any of this is positive. The only thing you could say that is positive about this is that the match will be good. That's it. Everything else about it is just stupid and doesn't make sense. Like, you could have just had AJ Styles and Cody Rhodes running back and then figure something out. I would have had Santos Escobar face him over this. Even though Santos not a main event threat, I get it, but at least Santos is a heel, and you could kind of make the narratives make sense to a degree. But this is just stupid. But I'm finna just move on because I spoke too much about this. Next up, we got AJ Styles. He's getting interviewed by Kayla Braxton. She ends up mentioning the King of the Ring tournament, and AJ Styles, of course, saying that, of course he needs to win the King of the Ring. He wants to win it. Then he ends up talking about how he should have been the one he should have defeated Cody at Backlash. He almost had Cody beat, and he ends up saying that he should be the one facing Logan Paul at the King and Queen of the Ring tournament. And he ends up saying that he will get another shot at Cody Rhodes, and he will face Cody Rhodes again. If you was going to have AJ say that, you could have just, never mind. But he ends up saying that they're going to have another match, so they could be teasing another match. I swear to God, if they have another match, I'm going to be mad, because you could have just had another match at the King and Queen of the Ring pay-per-view. But we're just going to have to see how it plays out. Next up, we got Naomi versus Nia Jax. This was an alright match. Nia Jax ends up picking her victory here. I'm not going to speak too much on it. Nothing too major here. Makes sense for Nia Jax to advance. Also, I am going to make my Queen of the Ring predictions. I would have dropped it earlier, but couldn't, because I didn't know what the brackets were. I didn't know who was all going to be in the match, because they didn't release the brackets for whatever reason. So, but still going to drop that. But Nia Jax advance makes perfect sense. I would have picked her anyway, but it makes sense for her to advance. Now, we end up getting, before this match happened between Baron Corbin and Melo, we had a little segment between Carmelo Hayes and Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin was getting interviewed. Melo interrupted, ended up making a joke, ends up saying that you got drafted. I must have missed that, because he got drafted off television. Baron Corbin, them going back and forth. Melo basically saying that he's going to destroy Baron Corbin and he's going to advance. I don't know if this is going to be a rivalry, which I wouldn't mind, a little small town rivalry for Melo, to revisit the rivalry they had in NXT, so I wouldn't mind that. But it gets towards the end. This was actually a very solid match, though. It gets towards the end. Baron Corbin tries to go for the end of days. Carmelo Hayes ends up reversing it into he ended up doing a roll up pin. I forgot what the roll up pin was called. They ended up calling it something, but I forgot what they called it. But he ended up doing a roll up pin. Carmelo Hayes ends up picking up the victory. Don't know if they're going to continue this feud. Maybe it was just a one off thing, but this was a really good match. Good showcase on Melo, and Melo ends up going to the second round. Now we got a quick segment with Bayley. She was getting interviewed. She was getting interviewed about who is her favorite to go all the way to the finals, and she ended up saying Jade Cargill. Then she gets interrupted by Chelsea Green, Piper Niven. Chelsea ends up saying that you must have forgot about Piper Niven, and she ends up hyping up Piper how she's going to destroy Jade Cargill and goes to the finals, and then they walk off. Now this is not an important segment. I only added it in because after the segment, for some weird reason, Bayley had like this stress, like uncomfortable look on her face, like she was very nervous about Piper for some weird reason. So that's the only reason I added it, because like, are they teasing potentially Piper going after the championship? Because it's like, I don't know why Bayley was so like, it was like she was intimidated by Piper to a degree. So I don't know, maybe they just did that just to do it, but I just added, that's the only reason why I added that in here, because I don't know why they had Bayley like having this intimidated look, like she was scared of Piper, but we'll see how that plays out though. Now we get Randy Orton. He has an interview. He talks about, wanting to be king of the ring, mentions AJ Styles. But then he starts talking about Tama Tonga. He talks about how he's basically going to get revenge on Tama Tonga. He mentions how Tama Tonga took out Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is out, and he wants payback. He's coming back. He's coming for blood. He mentions how when he hits an RKO, it won't be out of nowhere. He wants to have Tama Tonga see the RKO coming, and he wants payback for Tama Tonga. He ends up mentioning how him and Tama Tonga may end up meeting each other in the King of the Ring tournament, which should have been predictable, but unfortunately, we're going to get to that towards the end. But ends up alluding to them meeting each other potentially in the King of the Ring, and how that, he's going to give him, he's basically going to give him the beats, and he's going to want his revenge. Now we end up getting to the first match of the Queen of the Ring tournament side for SmackDown. Jade Cargill versus Piper Niven. This match cooked. This match really cooked. This match really exceeded my expectations. I didn't expect this match to be so good. Jade looked good. Piper looked good. This was really good. We got towards the end, though. Jade ended up doing a Blue Thunder Bomb onto Piper Niven, which was sick. She ended up hitting her finisher, Jade, also. She did end up picking up the victory here. Nothing more to really go over, but this was a really good showcase of Jade Cargill. This was a really good match. Very entertaining match, though. Now we get to Shinsuke Nakamura. He has a little vignette segment. Basically, he's talking about how he's going to claim his throne at the top. He's coming for the top spot. No one on SmackDown is safe. And basically, he's back, and he's going to be a threat again. Basically, it looks like they're trying to present Shinsuke as the main event threat. You could have, oh my God, I just thought about it. You could have, I'm going all over the place. You could have done Shinsuke and Cody Rhodes again. You could have done that. Like, it just upsets me with the Logan Paul and Cody's. You could have easily done Shinsuke you could have easily done Shinsuke versus Cody Rhodes. You could have easily done that. Like, it wouldn't have not been that hard to think of. Like, I digress. But yes, Shinsuke is on SmackDown. He's coming for everyone on SmackDown, and no one on SmackDown is safe. Now we get Bianca Belair versus Candice LeRae. This was a okay match. This was very quickly. They're still doing the Candice LeRae, Indy Hartwell, heel turn stuff. Indy ended up helping Candice a bit, ends up injuring Bianca Belair's knee, but Bianca Belair was able to overcome that, ends up picking up the victory. Of course, she's not losing to Candice LeRae of all people. Bianca Belair ends up advancing to the second round. Now we get a Bloodline segment. Paul Heyman and Solo Paul ends up asking Tama Tonga and Tama Loa to leave. They end up leaving. So it's just Solo and Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman ends up saying that, I know my place in life. I'm Roman Reigns' wise man, but your decisions, he ends up mentioning Solo Sikoa's decisions. But then Solo ends up saying that decisions, like the decision of you lying and pulling Roman from the draft, which ended up backfiring because we got drafted in the third round instead of first. Then he ends up saying that it's like you're trying to take money out of my pockets. Are you trying to take food away from my kids? Or you want my kids to starve? Paul Heyman, of course, starts fearing for his life. He's constantly saying no, no. Then Solo Sikoa ends up alluding to Backlash. The Backlash segment when, Solo, Tonga, and Tamaloa ends up walking past Solo. But Paul Heyman, he ends up alluding that Paul Heyman was trying to give Jey Uso a sign, like a cry for help, because Paul Heyman gave him like a look, but he gave him like please help me type of thing. And Paul Heyman ends up saying, no, that's not what I was trying to do. Then Solo ends up saying that, look, I understand you're the wise man trying to protect us. Then he ends up saying that you haven't spoken to Roman Reigns since WrestleMania, right? Paul ends up saying yes. Then Solo ends up saying that, but I have, and until he comes back, I'm in charge, and you will be my wise man by the orders of the tribal chief. Then Solo tells him to hug him. He's saying he loves him. Then he looks away towards like Tamaloa, and he's lying. It's obvious that Solo is lying. It's so obvious. Like he's obviously lying to Paul Heyman just to get the approval of Paul Heyman, so Paul Heyman can kind of just stay out of his way. But I love what they're doing here with Solo. Solo being the new tribal chief technically, but I love what they're doing with Solo. But Solo is obviously lying to Paul Heyman, and it's going to be a big deal once Roman comes back. Now we get another match for the King of the Ring tournament. Angelo Dawkins versus Tamaloa. Get to the end of the match, basically. Solo ends up interfering. He's on a ring apron. Angelo Dawkins was able to knock him off the ring apron. Then Tamaloa tries, help Solo Sikoa, but Montez Ford ends up diving onto them off the ring apron. Then out of nowhere, like very quickly, like they recover from that very quickly. But they recover from that dive from Montez like very quickly. Then Solo ends up pushing Tamaloa was the one that pushed Montez into the ring post. Then Tamaloa ends up grabbing Montez, holding his arms, and then Solo ends up doing a Samoan spike to Montez. Angelo Dawkins sees it. Of course, he gets distracted. Tonga ends up taking advantage, picks up the victory here. Then after the match, Solo ends up picking up Angelo Dawkins, ends up doing a Samoan smite, and that's in the segment there. Bloodline stands tall, Bloodline looks strong, and Tonga ends up advancing. Now we get the main event. AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. This was a really good main event, solid match. They end up playing an injury angle here where AJ ends up doing a drop kick to Randy Orton's legs. So from there, Randy Orton kept on having a leg injury. Towards the end, though, we get AJ Styles ends up hitting a phenomenal forearm. Then he goes for the Styles Clash, but he ends up taking too long. He starts taunting, takes a little too long. Randy ends up reversing it, ends up hitting him with an RKO, and picks up the victory. Now, I knew Randy Orton was probably going to win this match. Once he mentioned how Tonga and him can meet up in the King of the Ring tournament, that's when I kind of knew he was going to win. And plus, Randy Orton never loses, to be honest. But I just don't understand, why did they do the injury angle? I hate when WWE does this, or any wrestling promotion, but I hate when they do an injury angle with a babyface and the heel injures them and still lose the match. I'm sorry. It's the dumbest trope ever, because it's like, why are babyfaces able to overcome these ridiculous odds and just beat the... Because it's like, if you're able to win with a messed up leg that's clearly in pain, why are you struggling so much against a person when you're fully healthy? It kind of doesn't make sense. Like, I get the whole adrenaline and all that, but it just makes the heel look like a dumbass and weak. Like, it's hard to take a heel seriously when you're losing a match against a guy on one leg. It's one of the reasons why I was so mad. I didn't do a review on this, but back at, I think it was Full Gear, when Jay White faced MJF, I was so mad at that match because it was like, why did you play an injury angle with Jay White injuring MJF for him to lose on one leg? That is the dumbest thing ever. It just makes Jay White look stupid and weak, because it's like, not only did you injure him, but you couldn't beat him while injured. Like, I hate when they do injury angles like that, but Randy Orton's advancing, which makes sense, and I think he's going to face Carmelo Hayes, which most likely he's going to win that match. But this was a okay episode of SmackDown. Nothing too major here. They was mainly trying to focus on the King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring tournament, which I'm not mad at. But that Logan Paul and Cody Rhodes, that is just ridiculous. But let me know what you guys think of this. Let me know what you guys thought of SmackDown. Let me know what you think they should have done, anything they should have changed. But yeah, I don't have much to say about this episode of SmackDown. But yeah, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. But yeah, that's it.